people want to get cards from people that they trust, and that trust matters a lot. So that has been an unexpected plus with it. My strategy with it is every week I want to make sure I'm giving people something that is going to be like a useful tip that like maybe they already know it, but like maybe they don't, and that this will be something that they can directly go use like today on their collecting to try to make collecting more enjoyable or more profitable or less risky. So that's a big driver for me.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 1,000 Card Project podcast. I'm your host, Ron McKeefery, and excited to have Zack Eustis with us. Zack is Zack Bowman Hacks on TikTok. I'm sure on all the other platforms as well. But that's where I kind of came across his content. And if you haven't followed him, he puts out some great parodies and some great content, just hobby content, those types of things on his channel. But man, I thought it'd be great to have you on and just kind of appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here and talk cards with you today.
Awesome. Well, Zack, I know you have a special education, I believe, teaching background, and you recently left that to kind of focus purely on cards. Talk a little bit about, I mean, everybody's got the same kind of collector journey, but when it comes to the business, like at what point did you say, you know what, I think this is going to be a business? And
Yeah.
at what point did you feel comfortable?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if I've ever felt totally comfortable with it just because it's such, cards are such an uncertainty. And really it was something where like I'd been working on some side projects for a while where I was just kind of like funneling away like some cash with the idea of this goal of like, okay, I want to give myself a year if I can to see if I can really turn this into like something that's long-term and sustainable. Like I've loved special education teaching. That has been great. And it's just over the last few years, like, I don't know if it's part midlife crisis, part like I've got 2 young kids now and just like thinking about things differently, but it just lined up where like I had the opportunity to try it for this year and made the decision back in May to kind of make the leap and see what happens, and been so happy since. And I feel very lucky and fortunate that I've been able to give it a shot, but it's been super fun. And I think, a lot of the things in my head, and I know this is similar for a lot of collectors, just like, oh, I have all these cards, they're in boxes in the basement. If I just had the time to like do this work with them, I really think they could turn into something. And so I'm trying to really make the most of that time now to just pick through everything I've got, and just thinking about your own specific card journey, like really trying to like drill down from this gigantic collection of cards that's filling shelves and really trying to narrow that down to just the stuff that I love. I don't think I'm going to get down to 1,000 cards, but I'm very motivated to try to drill it down more too, to just the stuff I really want to have. But
That's fantastic. Well, I want to dig into the model and the strategy that you got kind of going forward. But before we do, like, talk just about that first 90 days. Like, what was your focus and what were some of the lessons learned in that first 90 days?
Yeah. So a lot of the focus for me has been on really trying to look at ways that I can generate some like either like capital or profit from cards that are largely through like getting bulk lots. Like for me, a big thing that I do specifically with Bowman is I will buy these cases of Bowman paper, which you can get for like, I don't know, $50 for base Bowman, and then $80-ish for Bowman draft, but where you can get 8 to 10 base cards in draft of every player in the set. And I usually get them through breakers or things like that because you can get them relatively cheap. They're not the exciting cards that people are chasing when they buy a box or when they buy into a break, but they are guaranteed value. That if you can like put in the time to like sort those, sell them as single player lots, like they are the surest thing I've found in Bowman baseball cards where you can turn a profit, which I will then use to try and buy some of the nicer cards that are of the guys that I really like and am interested in chasing long term. But so that actually sitting down, and I had like 14 cases of draft paper. It was like over 25,000 cards sorting through over a period of weeks and weeks. But once I finished that, it was extremely satisfying. And I finished in time to like unload all my Trey Savage paper first, like when he was taking off, which has like covered pretty much all of the cards already. So now I'm just sitting on like 200 Connor Griffin cards that can't wait to unload hopefully this spring. But so that's really, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's an excellent strategy, and I want to circle back to that because I think it's one of the I mean, you put out a lot of different pieces of content on your channel, but that's one that's kind of hit really really well, and I think as I look, one of the things that I try to do with the Thousand Card Project is to have kind of different strategies across the life cycle of cards, right? So that kind of low end liquid or that bulk, what's my strategy there? And for me, typically that's throwing it in like a 10,000 or like a 2,000 count box and just here you go. And making that to be a $20, that I was into it for maybe $6 or $7 and move
What?
that, before we get into all the different strategies, I really want to dig into that. When you go full time like this, and I'm at this point I'm a consultant and I have like a real like a real job that has my focus and those types of things. This is really just a hobby for me, but at the same time, like when you start to look at sourcing and listing and content and packaging and research and content creation and all those different things, like how do you kind of bucket your day to manage your time?
Yes. Yes. So I think about that a lot. And I think really with how my day breaks down, I usually have between 9 o'clock and 4 o'clock that I can really dedicate to projects that I need. And then also just general house stuff that I'm helping with. And then occasionally sick kids or kids staying home. But like that's when I've got a day, I think about it kind of like 9 to 4. And the things that are highest on my list are cards I need to sort, cards I need to list, videos I want to make. And it's really just been the past 2 months or so, not 6 weeks really, that I've been like creating content on TikTok, which has been extremely fun. And has taken up a good chunk of that time too, which it was not something I was necessarily expecting, but was recommended to try it by a friend of mine who's another special education teacher. She has one about special education. She's like, you should just do one about cards. Give it a
Yeah.
shot. Have fun. But so that has really taken a lot of my time. So what I've been trying to do lately is make videos where I'm doing ongoing challenges about, like right now I'm doing one about 30 bulk listings in 30 days. So it is really motivating me to put bulk listings together on eBay, sort through like the 2,000 count, 5,000 count boxes that I've had, figure out which cards I want to keep, which ones I just want to unload for pretty much whatever I can get for them. And then situations where, yeah, like if I can turn like a $7 box or a box into like $20, I can go then use that on the next pitcher auto I want to get. But so I've needed to be purposeful too about like, okay, 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock, I'm just going to sort cards and I'm just going to do that. And then, and it's amazing how centering that is when I just set
Yeah.
that chunk of time and do that.
Yeah, I know for me, just being an entrepreneur now that I'm retired coaching and all that, like that was kind of the original plan for me, was to have my day kind of, here's an hour for this project, here's an hour for this project, here's an hour for this project. And what I found was kind of batching and focusing like on one aspect of the business on Monday or one aspect of the business on Tuesday. Because it keeps you in the same headspace where you're
Yes.
not having to shift back and forth. That's kind of what's worked for me the most and from that time management standpoint. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think, that's the hardest part, isn't it? When you can kind of work from home.
Yes. Yes. And you don't have you're your own supervisor for figuring out how you're going to manage your time. And you don't have another person telling you, okay, this project is due on this day and you have to. But I like that idea a lot too. And if I were to, I don't know, because right now I'm trying to do some of it all every day and it's hard to get everything done.
Well, I also like that, again, I think you kind of jumped in and I think, again, it's the positive and the negative of the teaching profession. Like you could probably always go back to that job, right? But it's also like, you can make probably as much money, if not more, doing the card stuff pretty quick, and so like, and the scalability of that as you grow and learn could be 10x, and so
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. When you break down your business now, like as it sits right now, where do you, where are those monetization channels coming from? Is it, like you said, the bulk lots, it's, content is going to factor in there, but maybe isn't the piece that's making the money just yet. Like how, when you look at your business, where are the revenue models?
Yeah. Right now, it really is all through, it's mostly through card sales that I'm making. And it's through my plan right now is I've got actually like on the table next to me, but just this giant bin of my grading pile that I am planning on going through. I actually really enjoy grading base cards because the overhead is so low for them. But like a guy like Connor Griffin, his paper first PSA 10s are selling for over $100. Like it's so you can, yeah. So I'm trying right now really to one, sell cards, two, buy cards because the offseason for baseball is such a good time to buy cards. But then three, like really, I am banking on and deliberately picking up players who I anticipate are going to get called up in March, in April, who I can then sell and generate a profit on. And it's like, and I'm working right now, like with a safety net where like, if this doesn't pan out the way that I'm expecting it to, like I can go back to teaching. I can, but like, that is my vision really is I'm going to try to spend this winter getting my whole collection as organized as possible, unloading the cards that I don't want, and then trying to generate profit from those lower end cards that I can then use to buy some of the nicer cards with the intention of selling them February, March, April when the baseball season heats up and when guys get called up. But then also trying to generate revenue by grading a large, like I've spent this whole year creating this grading pile. Is I really only submit to PSA during their winter grading special because I, try to always get my cards graded at the cheapest level. And I know like SGC is a good option too. I really am finicky about PSA. I like PSA a lot.
I don't think anybody loves PSA, but they love the return of PSA.
Correct. Yes, that's it. And the aesthetic of the slab, I like that too. But no, dealing with them and their prices are not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned grading, you mentioned the bulk lots. Most of your revenue is coming from card sales. I would imagine as a family, you've like said that this is a business that we're going to invest in and maybe reinvest some of that money in those types of things.
Exactly.
What other models do you have within the card sales? You're selling lots, you're going to go raw to grade. What are some other kind of strategies?
Yep. The biggest part for me really is the prospecting element, which I know sounds like that is also the riskiest, but it's also one that I feel increasingly confident in terms of like the guys that I really like. We've seen such a huge spike in pitcher whose cards you can get for so cheap because pitchers, there's always the injury risk, and as the old adage is, chicks dig the long ball. Like everybody is usually wanting the guys that can slug the homers for a reason. So like pitchers just keep flying under the radar, but like you can get guys who are absolutely dicing in AAA who are on the verge of a call up, who have a base chrome autograph that's like $5, who all they need to do is get called up and have a good start, and those cards will skyrocket. And if they do even better, like they will go through the roof. So I've been very deliberately trying to target those guys who are in the high minors, who I can get for like rock bottom prices, who I then believe will be able to go up significantly. So I'm betting on myself that I can really hone that in this year and saw some like very nice gains this past season, which is part of what motivated me to do this too. Is that I feel like at this point I've got the hang of it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Big Bob's Cards on Twitter, but yeah, I subscribe to his Substack, and like his insight on cards and like that Substack where he just breaks down like, okay, these are the guys who are crushing it at high A this week. Here are what their base autograph cards go for. Like, take a look and see who you think might be undervalued, and he'll give his recommendations too. And like that's been an amazing tool for me too, to just use and be able to get in on guys like Thomas White from this past year, who was doing everything that an ace pitcher should do, and his cards were dirt cheap. Yeah. But so that's a big chunk of it. And then I also set up at a monthly card show in the Twin Cities, which is a really fun social element But it's really rare that I won't sell like at least $1,000 worth of cards at those sales or at those shows. And a good percentage of that is like dollar bin cards too that
Yeah.
I've set up. So yeah, that's all kind of part of the menagerie.
Yeah, I think it's, I think it's awesome. And I talked maybe even before we started hitting recording, but like I'm a big Bowman guy as well. I think the prospecting piece, like once somebody hits the majors, they have the call up basically, then they have like some sort of performance spike, and then they have retirement, and then they have death, right? Those are the
Yes.
four
A Hall
training.
of Fame.
The whole thing, yeah, those are the 5 markers, right? But, like, if you start in, draft or, or just their Bowman first, you've got all their different promotions, you got any kind of performance spikes, you got the spring training each year, the
Yep.
hype that goes along with that, and I think there's tons of there. I guess my question there, when you're building a business, you know, and that return, and again, the life cycle of that. But, like it would be great to have the superfractor of all those top guys, right? And that's what everybody wants. But at the same time, like you build a business with the non-sexy stuff, right?
Absolutely.
What is that non-sexy stuff for you when you're like, okay, is that a mojo? Is that a refractor? Is that numbered? Like, what are you targeting when you're going on these places to pick up these lots? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah. So I really like trying to scoop up like low end numbered auto lots that will show up on like Facebook groups or things like that, where it's a chunk of players who are not the sexy players, who are not the top 100 prospects. But if there are like a couple guys in there that I like a lot, I will try to snap those right up usually. I really like refractor autos out of 499, speckle refractor autos. Like usually the fanciest I get are like true blues and occasionally true gold, but I am typically targeting like those refractor autos 499 speckle because those can see such nice spikes when a guy gets hot, and the buy-in price is still pretty darn low for like one guy like Ethan Pecco for the Astros, who's pitching super well in the high minors this year. I've been getting his refractor autos for like $10 to $15, and like unless he gets hurt, he's going to be in the rotation next year. And I like it's one where like I keep talking myself into buying more of his cards because it seems like there's no sure thing. Like he could show up in February, strain his rotator cuff, and I'm holding these cards for the next 2 years. So
Is that the lowest that you'll go as auto, base autos or refractor autos, or will you go into like reptilians and mojos and
yeah, I will go into pretty much anything if I think it's a good value buy. Like I could see if I can get like a bulk lot of cards and I see like 3 cards in that lot, even if they are a base chrome or a reptilian or a non-numbered refractor, like I will absolutely get them and try to unload the cards that I don't want to cover the overhead for the whole thing, basically. Yeah.
so what are those buy-in points that are like no-brainers for you for going as far back to like a mojo and to like a base auto and a refractor auto?
Yeah. So I'd say like I'll go working down like a refractor auto. If it's a guy that I like, if I can get it for like $15 or less, I will almost always do it even without like double checking comps. Like if the comps are at $12 and I can get it for 15, like that's fine. If I really like the guy, I usually try to get him under comp. For a base auto, if it's a guy that I like, $5 is my no-brainer spot. Usually, like if I see it for $5, I'll just snap it up. And then for like reptilians or mojos, it's probably $1. Like if I see those for $1 somewhere, I'll just grab them too because yeah, it's funny. Like I think about that with Sapphire too. Like a lot of times people like look at just base Sapphire and be like, okay, like it's not that exciting, but those just explode for a guy if he
Yeah.
gets popular, which yeah. Actually really like buying Sapphire bulk lots too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think I love that low end stuff because
Yeah.
again, that there's a model there for me to get to the higher stuff from
Yeah,
them, right?
absolutely.
I like the $5 price point. When you mentioned a couple things in there of what if I like the guy, what makes you like the guy? Is it the top 100 list? Is it an extended, top 200 list? Is it they're on the top 30? What makes it that you like them?
For me, I would say the guys I like the most are guys who I think should be on the top 100 list, but are not. Like guys, and again, really who might be doing for pitchers, especially like pitchers who are doing really well at double A or triple A, but are not getting any top 100 attention. Those guys are very high on my list. For hitters, actually, pitchers I prefer to target guys who are higher up in the minors because they've like passed the off the lot test already. Like they're off the lot, they are solid pitchers. They've been putting up great numbers. Hitters, I really like targeting actually when they're more like 18 or 19, but also because that upside is still huge. Like it's amazing thinking a year ago, nobody thought 2024 draft was any good because there weren't any good high school hitters. And now Connor Griffin is the top prospect in the game. Like,
Yeah.
potential is just so high for those guys that's where I will take more calculated dart throws, really. Like last year, like Theo Gillen for the Rays was a guy I was getting a bunch of. I'm still getting some of his stuff because I think his upside is huge. But so again, like I don't know if he's even on a top 100 list yet, and
Like he is.
I don't think so. And he had a great year for the Rays. He was their minor league player of the year. So guys like that are guys that I really like to target. And then occasionally, and this is maybe a homer pick, but like I look at a guy like Walker Jenkins, who I think has all of the tools of a superstar and has looked amazing. And his cards go for quite a bit less than other, I would say, top tier guys. Like that's a guy where like if I can try to scoop some lower end stuff of his, and I've even actually picked up a couple of his refractor autos when he was hurt this year too, because I think his ceiling is high enough that I'm willing to like, take that risk a little bit. And I'm also a Twins fan, so worst case scenario.
Yeah. I need Walker to do well because I got about 30 of his cards sitting over there for the last couple of years.
I think the Twins are going to need him next year really badly.
Him and Rodriguez, both those guys, want to help the Twins out a little bit. But
yes, love Emmanuel Rodriguez. Yes. No,
got to stay healthy.
Yeah, he's got to stay healthy. There's no player I have more Bowman baseball cards of than Emmanuel Rodriguez. I'm really hoping that would jumpstart the business model too a little bit if he has a great spring.
So when you identify a guy, say Walker Jenkins or whoever, right? Like, is there a strategy to like how much of each of those classes you'll take? Like how much low end, how much autos, how much like is there a certain like I'm going to spend $100 on this guy, I'm going to spend $2,000 on this guy?
Usually for me, it will be like, okay, this is a guy I really like. I want to get like X kind of card. I will really try to find the best deal I can find. And like for Walker Jenkins, I was looking at his base autograph cards when I was doing this, and those were like probably around $100. But then his refractor autographs, I was able to find for like closer to like $200. So like, well, if I'm spending $100, like the refractor auto has a much higher ceiling. I don't know. Like it felt like the better deal to me at the time. Like, I felt like I could find a good deal on a refractor auto as opposed to like if I could have gotten a deal that I liked more on a base auto, I might have done that. And there are times too, like Esteban Quintero for the Dodgers this year. Like I like him a lot. And I just decided like, okay. And like his price points were higher than I would normally buy in on a guy too. But I decided like his upside is so enormous that I did give myself a budget for him. And it's like, okay, if I can get one card for like $300, great. If I can get like 5 cards for $300 of his that are a better deal, I'll do that. I'm really trying to find like what I think are the best value buys within a certain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been the hardest thing for me because, again, like one of the strategies that I've used is I'll take $10 for everybody on the top 100 list.
Uh-huh.
And I'll go buy as much, so it's either like, what's the best deal for $10? Is it the one auto? Is it 10 of the Mojos? Is it whatever it is? And I make sure I have, those guys because there's going to at least be hype for those guys, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And then from there, then it's like, now who do I want to go maybe deeper on? Who's got the potential to get called up? Who's got the hobby hype? Who's got those types of things? And then now do I go, deeper on that? I've been playing around with the strategy of, just in baseball in general, top player on the team, top prospect on the team. and putting a budget to that, and saying, okay, I'm going to go Shohei, I'm going to go Zaire Hope, or I'm going to
Yes.
go Jose DePaula. And, those are going to be the guys that I kind of put my money into
Yeah.
and ride it out and then do that for each sport that way.
Yes.
But yeah, it gets tough when you're trying to allocate like funds
Yes.
year round. How do you kind of manage, how do you manage the money in, money
Yeah.
out?
Yeah.
How do you go about kind of making sure that your cash flow is in a good place?
Yeah. So the way that we have things set up in my house is, so anytime like my wife or I get a paycheck, we put 90% or 85% of that like goes into our joint account. Each take 5% into our own personal account, which is like for us to use for whatever we want. Then we put 5% in savings. And then I also have like a separate card account that I set up this year when I was starting this idea, where any card sales that I make go into that account. Like it is linked to my eBay, my PayPal, my Venmo, all of those, and when I go work at a card show, I go from that account, like withdraw cash, put in cash. So I have a certain level that I always really want to keep that at, but I will also be thinking like, okay, from that, I am going to give myself like this amount to play with this week. And it's also been very motivating for me for selling in terms of like, okay, if I can generate like X amount, that just feels like extra cash now to go buy like this 19 card auto lot that I picked up last week. So I will. And then I'm also constantly thinking about like Bowman Draft is my favorite set. That's coming out sometime over the next 2 months. We don't know when, but I know it's just last year was December 4th and it's November 26th. We still haven't heard.
They still come out December 4th, the way things have been going with them.
Right. Maybe they'll just say like, oh, here it is. You can go get it now. But yeah. But so I've been like in my mind keeping a budget for that. And like that's one where I'm actually used a lot of these red rookie redemptions that they had this year, where I was trying to scoop up deals on those as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because I'm planning on like a splurge into like ripping some Bowman Draft, but I can use those like the discounted fan cash points to like actually get it at a semi-reasonable price. But my plan is actually to then pre-sell all of the base paper on eBay, which is going to be a tremendous amount of sorting and shipping. But I'm planning on doing that. And like, that's going to be my budget for draft. And anything I can generate from that, I will then use on breaks. I'll use on singles. But like, that has been my plan. And I'm also planning on like doing multiple TikToks about that just to try to like show, okay, it takes this much work just to break even on a rip, and the timing has to be like great, and you still need some luck. Like I'm still gonna need to like have some good cards on it too.
You mentioned some buying markers in there, is there certain points? I mean, obviously with baseball, right? This is the best time to be buying for baseball, right? To either get it graded or buy low, sell high, that type of thing. But year round, is there buying opportunities, or are there specific platforms, kind of like what you were talking about with eBay, with the grading? Is there certain time periods where you're like, okay, this is why I'm going to go, and I'm saving my budget for this time to buy?
Yeah. Yeah. For me at this point, I try to just have some sort of budget ready kind of like once a week, really, during the baseball season. And I really try to look at like weekly, like, okay, for prospects specifically, who has been crushing it and nobody is paying attention to them yet. And I will try to scoop up those cards on the front end, like Chase Harlan for the Dodgers, who had been hurt for a while. And then he came back and he had a slow start. And then he just crushed like 3 or 4 homers in a week. But like his overall stat line was still not great. But like under the hood, he was clearly finally healthy. The power was there. So like I scooped up a bunch of him right then. So I try to keep like money in the kitty for those moments because they can really happen. Yeah. It seems like so often.
It's been the hardest time is to try to figure out, like I just, like ComC right now has their Black Friday week or whatever. And so I've been scooping up a bunch of just low end stuff that I'm getting for 9 cents, 18 cents.
That's amazing.
That will be at least a couple bucks later on.
Yeah.
And buying those, but like it seems like it's always almost like an afterthought for me, or like, oh man, that's right, I need to do that, and then it's like, okay, I got to do the research, and then I got to do this, and then I got, and that part of it, I've got to get a little bit better with a schedule to where that's built in, to do those things.
Yeah. Oh, and that's one too where like that Substack of Big Bob's Cards that I subscribe to, like he'll send out the emails multiple times a week with his like updated lists and things like that, which for this season helped me tremendously with those reminders of, so I could be like out mowing the lawn, not thinking at all about Omen cards or anything. And then I get that reminder. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. Like I should go check that out. And yeah, that's helped a lot. I don't get any commission from like Big Bob's Cards. I just
He needs to give you an affiliate
it's
deal
been
or something.
great.
All right. So the one thing about Bowman is obviously not everybody makes it, right? And and it's there's shining stars, and then there's the ones that fade out. And at some point, it's like, okay, how do I liquidate these hundreds of thousands of cards that I have of players that are long gone? Like, I know the bulk box strategies and things like that are you've got the player lots, but even like the paper lots are only going to move if it's players that are notable.
Yep,
You know,
absolutely.
how do you liquidate the rest of that?
Yeah, that is part of my ongoing challenge right now. And what I've found has been the most effective for that is putting together bulk lots where, like, let's say like 21 draft now, which was really like the first Bowman product that I went totally nuts on, in terms of like just scooping up so many cards. And now like we're 4 years out and a good chunk of those guys didn't make it. They're out of the game. Some of the guys have gotten called up and it hasn't been as exciting as we thought, like Marcelo Mayer and Jordan Lawler, who I still like both of them a lot. But like from the hobby lens,
Yeah.
there's the shine is off that star a little bit. But what I've trying to do is put together huge lots of like 500 cards or something, and include in that lot like some of the cards that I know people will want, and make sure like, okay, you will get a Marcelo Mayer like first chrome, you will get like a Jordan Lawler refractor, like something where people know they're going to get some solid cards in that lot to go along with the ones of the guys that didn't make it. And then putting those together. The tricky thing with that is trying to find a price point that I like and they like. Like that's really what's tricky. And it's part of the reason why I really like selling at card shows is I can put out a bin and I can say like, hey, 10 for $1 here or something like that, and people can go through and pick them out. But I have found some success selling those on eBay too. I think I need to switch to putting free shipping on those big lots though, because the shipping is such a challenge for the buyer. Like those prices really add up, and I think I'd be better off. I was just thinking about this morning with some of the bulk lots I've been putting together. Like I think I need to switch those to free shipping and just like increase the ask slightly.
Yeah.
But it's really like, what's my goal with those cards now? Like they're not bringing me joy. I want to Marie Kondo them. I want to clear them out, and I don't want to get nothing. But I also, yeah. And what am I willing to like add in to?
Yeah. Yeah. You should, if you haven't watched it, you should go back and watch the episode I did with Paul Carl. Has a really good strategy with bulk that he does a lot of lots and sells it. And I kind of took that and ran with it with just a bunch of, collections. And so long story short, I would just buy these collections, Facebook Marketplace, whatever, go through, pull out all Hall of Famers or, anything that might have been missed or whatever. And then I just throw them in a box and, bulk box. It's, I think it's maybe 7x10 or something like that. It's the same size as a medium flat rate box. He does a medium flat rate box, but I think his price point is $39.99 free shipping, I
Nice.
think, but it's like
Yeah.
2,000 cards.
Yeah.
And so he's profitable, because he's into a lot of those cards for maybe a penny,
Yeah.
or less. And what I did is I took it and I applied it to Facebook Marketplace, and that's been really good. I move those things pretty quickly.
Well, that's great.
So that might be a strategy for you, but
I'm gonna write that down too, because I have not actually delved into Facebook Marketplace at all. But
some of that little stuff like that, especially stuff that's a little bit more modern like that,
yeah,
actually does pretty well. Because kids, parents want to buy that because it's cheaper than a box to go buy at Target or something, and
yes,
they don't care about the cards; they just want to see cards. Just bought it from me where they're just doing art projects, So there's a bunch of things they can do with it, but yeah, I think I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is like, I think when you're in this for business, like you have to have kind of strategies throughout the life cycle, and you have to have strategies to liquidate, and just get rid of stuff so you don't have this kind of it doesn't take over your house,
Right. Absolutely. Which is good for my whole household and my marriage.
It's fine. All right, so last piece here, then I want to hit you with some quick hitters. But like, obviously, you've made a conscious effort to go play in the content game,
Yes.
and whether it be TikTok, which I think we got on maybe about the same amount of time ago. I think I got on like maybe 5-6 weeks ago,
Okay. Yeah. It was the exact same time.
and then I don't know if you're doing anything with Instagram or anything like that. But talk a little bit about your overall strategy with how that's going to fit into the business, and how you think that's going to help your bottom line.
Yeah. I have noticed just since I've started that a lot more traffic on my own eBay page, which I was not expecting at all when I started it. But it's also reminded me that, like, yeah, people want to get cards from people that they trust, and that trust matters a lot. So that has been an unexpected plus with it. My strategy with it is every week I want to make sure I'm giving people something that is going to be like a useful tip that, like, maybe they already know it, but like maybe they don't, and that this will be something that they can directly go use like today on their collecting to try to make collecting more enjoyable or more profitable or less risky. So that's a big driver for me. And I know when I got into it intensely in 2021, like I had a friend who was like giving me lots of solid advice that I took like maybe 20% of or something, and I would have been a lot happier if I'd taken all of it. But I don't know, it's so easy to get drawn into like the allure of like the Connor Griffin superfractor auto or something that like is next to impossible to hit. But my goal with it is to try to like set realistic expectations for how one can engage in the hobby in a way that won't like drain the bank account or won't like make you really regret doing what you're doing. And then also acknowledging that, like, yeah, with prospecting, like there are going to be lots of players that don't make it, which is part of the goal with like those videos I've done about my past self or showing up. Those is just like, this happens. And I really want to like also like one, have like make videos that people enjoy, but also like make videos where people are like, oh yeah, like that. I just want people to be mindful that can happen too. That's why I often say, like, don't ever spend $1 in Bowman that you can't afford to lose, because it's not a good feeling to have a prospect not work out. But in terms of that, so yeah, I want to make sure I'm like creating content that really can be useful for people with useful tips, can hopefully be entertaining, and can also kind of show my own personal journey with it and just what this is like and how the pros and cons, the good days and the bad days, like really, I want to give like as much as possible, like an authentic look at like, okay, what is this really like as a collector? And then also as somebody who's trying to dive into it full time. And
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you hit it. There are a couple things that I think it might have been Lou with Lou Rock TV or Mini Grass. I can't remember who was on, but they mentioned, like it's kind of like it's almost like the new home movies as social media, and your kid's going to be able to go back and watch some of you kind of, just sharing that journey, and wherever this business goes or doesn't go, like there's going to be lessons in that, and and then I think that you also mentioned in there entertainment. And I think you've got that good balance. I don't have that balance right now. Like you have a good balance of mixing in the entertainment and bringing it, the joy and the fun to it. And I think that's really cool, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been very fun. Yeah, super fun to do, and a fun creative outlet too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's neat. Well, we end the show with some quick hits here. So give us 2 or 3 prospects that everybody should be aware of.
Yeah. One guy who I think is way under the radar is Zach Thornton for the Mets. He just absolutely diced on the mound for them at high A. Then he got called up to double A and was just as nasty, like ERA under 3, striking out a bunch of guys. He had an oblique strain like at the end of July, so that ended his season, but it was not an arm injury. Like he's he's going to be totally fine. But like his base autographs are so cheap. Like, and the Mets have been so good at their minor league developmental pitching system has been so good that he's one that I'm buying a lot of this offseason. I just think his upside is huge. And for the price point, like you can get, like the risk is relatively low. So the thing I love about getting a $5 autograph is like the worst case scenario is it becomes like a $1 autograph.
Yeah.
Rather than like a $50 autograph becoming a $1 autograph. But the upside I think is enormous with him. So he's one. And another guy I like a lot is Miguel Ulola for the Astros, he struck out, I think, like 130 guys in 100 some innings in AAA this year. Like, I don't know how he didn't get called up to their rotation. But like you can get his refractor speckle autographs for like $15. And I see no reason why he won't be in the majors next year, likely out of spring training. So he's one. And then for hitters, I'll do one hit. I do really like Chase Harlan for the Dodgers. Like he had a little spike this year, but like has kind of cooled back off. And he's another guy who's like outside of the top 100, but like his power swing, if you look at it, like I've seen people on Twitter say like his swing looks like Manny Ramirez. Like it's so powerful. And he's a Dodger. Like I just think he's got that chance to get that hobby rocket ship, and his cards are, I think his base auto is like 10 or $15 right now, which I like him a lot. He's still got a long ways to go. I think he's 19, but yeah.
Well,
he's got a ways to go.
The challenge with that, right, is holding off for those guys to realize the most profit there. But yeah. What about what's the hardest lesson you've learned in the business, the hobby business?
Yeah. I think the hardest lesson was probably before I tried to turn this into a business, was just like how absolutely terrible the ROIs are on buying a box of cards. And that was one, I just bought way too many of those back in 2021, 22. And it was a really tough like lesson for me to like go through that and continue to be like, okay, I just spent $300 on a hobby box. I got a $5 autograph and one numbered card. Like, and just having to like sit with that and feel that and be like, it brings me so much more joy to spend $300 on like 2 bulk autograph lots now, or on like 3 or 4 cases of draft paper, because I know like I'm going to get a return on that. Whereas the hobby box, like there's always that allure of like the Connor Griffin Superfractor auto, but like one person's going to get that out of how many hundred, they're like tens of thousands of boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I still enjoy doing that, but really like having to like experience that was rough. And for some reason, when I started opening those boxes, I was like, well, if they're priced like this, then surely the value must be, and that's not the reality at all.
Yeah, I've been the opposite. I've actually never enjoyed opening a box. I mean, I enjoy the process and the fun part of that and all that, but like every single time I've walked away and been like, oh, that was stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And yes. And from like the entrepreneur side of it, like,
right,
it's not a good idea.
So what I do now is I buy one box of like each release that I like. So like Topps Chrome, Bowman,
Yes.
Chrome, Bowman Draft.
Yeah.
Now Bowman U. Those are kind of like the ones I buy it just so that I can see the cards and kind of like, just kind of get a feel for the cards really. But from that point on, like every time I go to want to maybe go buy a box, I just come home and I spend that same amount of money on ComC or Collects or
yes.
And I just go, and I'm like, instead of pulling 10 mojos total, like I bought, 100 mojos, for that amount of money.
As you want.
Yeah. So that becomes a strategy there. But what's a tool or a platform that you feel outside of the big bobs? You mentioned that, but what's a tool or platform that you feel like is necessary for your business?
Yeah. Facebook Bowman groups have been a big one for me in terms of finding lots of cards that I really like. That has been where I'm doing something right now in like my top 5 like biggest single card flips from this year, and I'm realizing that like almost all of them I bought on Facebook, and being able to that those groups I've really liked for finding deals on bulk lots, but also on single cards too. Yeah. So that's one that I think like is critical for me that I maybe undervalue. And I'm just thinking, reflecting on what you mentioned about Facebook Marketplace, that I haven't tapped into that at all for a selling thing, but yeah, I definitely want to just give that a shot. But because, yeah, Facebook Bowman groups have been amazing for finding good deals on cards. And
Yeah, it's good. The only thing I don't like about it is it's tied to your personal account. And so,
yeah,
like, I don't mind that people, but like, again, being a coach and having that kind of reach that gets interpreted sometimes different ways, right? But
absolutely. Yeah. No, yeah, and I can see from your own lived experience why that would.
yeah, yeah. What's the next big strategy or milestone that you see for your business?
Yes. The big thing that I need to do is really go through my grading pile because I want to be ready day one, if and when that PSA grading special comes out, to send my cards that day because I know their times have been getting pushed back and it's not a guarantee they'd be back for like opening day or spring training. But I want to be ready just in case because I think that's going to be like, I would love to have this huge stack of PSA 10 Connor Griffin first cards on various things that are ready to go if and when he gets called up. That's been on my mind every single day for the past 2 months that, okay, I just need to sit down and go through it. I just need to sit down and go through it. And I haven't done it yet. So that's, that's my big goal for the next 10 days or so because I think that part is going to be in terms of like how to generate more revenue and value from the cards I already have, that's going to be a big piece of that puzzle.
Well, it's been fun to follow along, man. I appreciate you sharing the journey and the humor and the entertainment that comes along with it. And this has been really cool just to kind of go deep with Bowman and get to know you better. So appreciate you coming on and sharing with everybody.
No, thank you so much, Ron. It's been great talking with you and yeah, diving in on Bowman and just talking through the business side too. And you're helping me think more about it too from that entrepreneurial lens, which I really appreciate. And yeah, appreciate everything you're doing with your content too. This is really cool to, yeah, get to be on the show too.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.